Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm. And as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in on this hot Thursday afternoon. And they say the Saharan desert dust is going to be with us soon. I can almost taste it already. So I don't know if that's going to help to cool things down a bit. I hope some good will come out of that. But anyway, thank you so much for being here today. So I had all intentions today to talk about the fallout between the Jamaican government and the U.S. government over this diplomatic impasse as it relates to the diplomat who has a same-sex spouse, and Jamaica saying they're not going to give that spouse diplomatic, exceptions or whatever the word is. And then I came across a video and I thought, wow, this is going to make a far better show. Not to say that the other issue isn't important, and probably I will eventually get to that if need be. But I thought that this topic that we decided to discuss today is, I guess, in many ways even more important to discuss, because it goes back to the question of why more of our people don't seem to be benefiting from the Commonwealth. These islands are called the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, but in many ways the wealth is not common. And so we are going to be looking at that today from a very unique perspective. And this is not going to be a typical conversation as, whenever this subject comes up, you get a typical conversation type of situation. No, this is going to be a bit different. And so without any further ado, let me introduce my guests who are joining me on the show today. We've got Dr. Patrick Miller, who, this is what, your third or fourth time on the show, Dr. Miller?
I think so. Can't recall. I really think so.
All right. And we've got C. Alan Johnson, who everybody knows. C. Alan is a regular on the show, so anybody can question who he is.
Yeah, David Johnson.
Yeah, I was still waiting for my co-host title. So, hey, let me just make a pitch. Sponsors, please call. If y'all just give her a couple dozen sponsorship, I'm sure she'll be able to afford me as a co-host.
And I actually didn't charge him for that, by the way. I didn't pay him to say that. So anyway.
I want to call and pay you. No, you didn't pay me. Seriously, because we are it's such a critical part of our development. We need to have some real conversation. And like you say,
yes,
this happens.
This is
where it happens.
For sure. Okay, I'm calling this show today Prayer, Poverty, Productivity, and Power. Prayer, poverty, productivity, and power. And before I throw out the first video to show you what inspired this show for today, let me let people know how they can become a part of the conversation. So the numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. Let me start again, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, the WhatsApp line, 801-0271, 801-0271. You can either call or send us a message on the WhatsApp line. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm or Global 99.5 FM page. And we are also streaming live to YouTube. And you can also check us out on Cable Bahamas channel 974, or you can download the Global 99.5 app to your smart device and check us out there. Last but not least, you can get us via radio on the dial here in New Providence. It's 99.5 FM. And welcome to our audience in Grand Bahama. Now, Patrick, you've got some light coming from behind you, and that's making you sort of look like a silhouette. So I don't know if you want to change positions.
Is that for me?
Yeah, with a light in front of you, behind you. Okay? So the meantime, while I'm working on that, I'm going to go ahead and play our first clip. Like I said, this video that I'm about to play inspired me to switch directions on the day of the show. So you know it must be an important day, because I already have my show little plan and line up for the day to talk about this whole situation with Jamaica and the U.S. But I'm like, you know what? There's some other things that we need to talk about that are equally or even more so important. And that's better, Patrick. And the empowerment of our people is definitely something that we need to be talking about. So check out this video. This is actually, I'm not sure of the name of the person in the video, but this is a gentleman from Africa who is lamenting about some of the same issues that we're facing here in the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. And this is what inspired this show today. So let's go to the first clip.
Look into that graph. Look at that graph and find out how religious are those countries that are producing millionaires. I mean, we have more churches in Africa than we have industries. On every corner, there is a church. Look into that graph. Look at that graph and find out how religious are those countries that are producing millionaires. I mean, we have more churches in Africa than we have industries. On every corner, there is a church. Like in some parts in Nigeria, in one building, you find 15, 20 churches. Ground floor, second floor, third floor, right up to the top. And some are coming at 9, some are coming at 11, some are coming at 2. Some at 10 in the evening. All of them are just praying and praying and praying. Hey, African people, stop praying too much. Start working. God does not say, I will bless your prayers. He said, I will bless the labor of your hands, and by your sweat you shall eat, not through your prayers. So we cannot substitute our hard work with prayerful lives. Prayer will leave you in poverty. Hear me well. Prayer will leave you in poverty. So we need to learn how to work. Look into that graph and find out these countries that are producing millionaires. What religion are these people believing in? Maybe we need to change the gods that Africa has accepted to deal with these ones here that seem to be economically viable and progressive in terms of helping their own members. Can't be spending your whole day at church. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is choir, Friday, youth day, Thursday, women's day. What it is practice, then it's practice, then it is all these old age things. The whole week you are in church. When are you going to sit down and start making money? So we need to find out from these countries again what is the recipe of their success. And having discussed that in terms of their labor, we also need to find out what kind of tax facilities that they have in terms of the tax havens. How are they treating their investments? How did they structure their financial systems? You can also find out in those countries that are producing the most millionaires. Find out for me, of all these countries, how many of them have foreign investors in their country. Find out. How many of these countries on the top 15, top 20 that have millionaires, how many of them are working with foreign investments? How many of them are working with donor money? You may be shocked that they don't work with donor money. They don't work with foreign investments. And while you're asking that question, ask again these countries that have more millionaires. Who owns their banks? Who owns their banks? Who owns their insurance companies? These countries. Who owns their insurance company? And while you're trying to answer that question, answer this one also. Who owns their land? Who owns their land? Because land is a means of accessing finances. So you walk up to the top 20 country companies and find out who owns their banks, who owns their insurance, and who owns their land, who owns their industry.
Yeah.
I think Michelle has paused for a second. She should come right back in.
Hey, can
All right, put it in there. I think something wrong with her internet.
Yeah, I thought it would have played. You guys can't hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Did the video play straight through on your end?
Yes.
I don't know. It paused at who owned their land, who owned their industries, who owned their banks, who owned.
Okay.
It paused on a good question.
Yeah, the bottom line is this gentleman is saying that there are so many churches everywhere you turn in Nigeria, and everybody is in church Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday, praying. And yet there are people who are still, for the most part, the mass is still in poverty. And he is saying that the Bible said that he will bless the work of your hands, not, bless you for praying all the time, but not working. The key is you got to work. So I wanted to talk to you gentlemen especially about this, because we too in the Bahamas have lots of churches, and a lot of people are believers, and a lot of people in church all the time and praying hard and believing God for breakthrough and all that kind of stuff. And yet at the end of the day, they're walking away in poverty. And the question is, what's missing? Why are they not more, for want of a better word, blessed? particularly financially. Um, and I'm hoping that the rest of the clips play more smoothly because he had some really interesting things to say. Um, and what I did was I took the video clip and split it into three because it was just too long to play in its entirety. So, gentlemen, you would have heard what was said on the first clip. I think it played smoothly on your end, more so on my end. What are your thoughts? Now, Patrick, I want to start with you because I thought you would be great to be a part of this conversation because not only are you a successful businessman, but you're also a pastor. So let's
Yes,
talk about
ma'am.
this. Let's start with you. What do you?
Okay, there are. First of all, good evening to everybody out there. Once again, thank you for having me. I realize you're one of the only people that really owns my calendar. So you just and I already own my schedule. Right. So I come to accept that. So so I am grateful for you having me today. And I want you to know most of the time it is not planned. She just calls me last minute. And she just texts me, hey, and I'll be like, okay, make my
I mean,
commitment.
I
But it's
literally just decided today to do this show. So yeah, he ain't lying. He
yes.
ain't lying.
And so so today, first of all, also good afternoon to your guest,
Good afternoon.
Mr. Johnson. God bless you. Now I want to say it's a lot of dynamics we can come from. It's a very interesting conversation to have, but there are two dynamics, I might say, we have to consider. And then I believe it will really navigate the content and the perspective in which we will address. So we can look for more from a secular perspective, and then we can look for more religious perspective. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because it depends on which part of it we are addressing can determine how I want to speak. So I'm gonna address it from seeing that I have both roles. I think I'm gonna address it from a spiritual perspective. I could let my learned friend here come from more a cultural perspective, if that would be fair.
That's fair. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll come from a spiritual perspective. Uh, the Bible says something that is very, first of all, we got to understand the nature of things from a spiritual perspective. The institution is whoever you come out of is responsible for you. To
Mm.
make that clear, whoever you come out of, that's why you see a baby come out of a woman nurse her, a lion, a cub comes with a lion, and on and on and on, goat, cow, ever. We looks at that, and that's why you see women come out of a man. A man is responsible for a woman. But I believe the biggest misconception we always have is when we used to say that man came out of God. No, man came out of the ground. So the ground is always responsible for man. The only part of a man that came out of God was the breath of man, which we call the soul of man, that is God responsible for, the caretaker for eternity. So that's why he always refer our well-being to the ground. From thus we came, from thus we shall return. So the ground is responsible for us. The second thing I believe is when it comes to ministry, most people have a misconception when it comes to the purpose on why ministry was institutionalized. Most people 90% of the people I've seen and I know treat ministry just the same way it's registered as an LLC, a business. So church is treated exactly like how it's registered to them as a business. Now, when it comes to congregants, this is where we have the conversation to come into play. The Bible says, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. And when the wicked rule, the people mourn. And I know Mr. Johnson will attack that from a more secular perspective, and I will keep it in the church parameters. That not everybody that have the label pastor, apostle, prophet, doctor means that they're in it for the reality and the purity of what it was created to do. Most people come in it because it's a get rich quick scheme. Most people come because a lot of people see the benefits thereof. So their motives behind what they do isn't sincere and really doesn't care. They don't care about all the extra, they don't care about nobody. It's just about personal gain. But the first thing we have to understand that when it comes to work, there has to be a separation between spirituality and work. And the order should be God, family, then church. So most Christians are very reliant on the pastor to get to be transpired with honest information to them. And for this cause, they don't study. That makes sense to you? They
Yes.
don't they don't study, they don't research, and when the Bible itself tells them you gotta study to show yourself approved, a workman is not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Not just the Bible of only. So God chosen people, but he gives them instruction. He said amongst everybody else, do business with them, work with them, learn from them, but just don't marry them and take upon their God. That's why I say be in the world, but don't be of the world, because you still have to socialize and commune with them in order to be successful things, to do business. The challenge comes in is that most people believe that most people operate as if when God forgive them from their sins, he take away their gifts, the ability to work, the ability to labor, and now you have a bunch, watch this, you have a bunch of name it, claim it saints.
Okay.
So they have this false personification of spirituality and success. As long as you name it and you claim it, it gonna come. As long
Yeah.
as you give, it gonna come. But nobody's mentioning work.
Mm.
Because the Bible says, after you, Paul put it this way, he says, show me your faith without no works, and let me see your results, and let me show you my faith with my works, and then you will see my results. And I'm gonna just stop on this point right here with this point. So which means now, when we look at the Bible we know is only principles, a conglomerate of principles that if it's anybody makes it applicable, they will see the results. So the law of giving, receiving, sowing, that's for anybody. And so when it comes to the financial status quo of saints, they always have to remember that your gift, if it's supposed to take care of you, is the thing that needs to be cultivated. That's why you have school, colleges. That's why you have institutions that comes to help sharpen and give us the ability to have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in our craft so we can then bring the results. But things are not being empowered that way because 99% of the pastor relying on the tithes, offering, and the seed that they got because they ain't working. Okay. I'm pause right there because they tell me I get in trouble.
They considering posturing as work. Dr. Miller, what you saying?
So no, see, it is. I've realized something. Most ministries that are started, particularly as a Bahamian, I know coming up in the Bahamas, are started out of hurt. Either the preacher got mad with their leader, whether it's male or female, then they open up another church. Then you have the news dying. Then you got the new news dying. Then you got the new dying, like T.D. Morrison said. Then you got the new news dying. So everybody has opened up a church just because everybody's proving this point, and you got a bunch of hurt people going around that trying to make their experience gospel.
Wow.
So now in the church, it is not about empowerment because religion is not designed for empowerment. It's about enslavement and entrapment. And that's what the religion does. Because so you have a bunch of hurting people that are in the church because why? Religion, because the faith is not to free them. It is designed to keep them handicapped. And so most pastors now feel if I tell them the truth, I'm going to lose them. If they are awakened, they're going to go. And if this is my bread and butter, then what I got to do? And that's why you have to realize, I want you to remember this, Michelle, you could never touch what you're benefiting from.
Wow.
So now if they start to touch what you touch, then the eyes of people going to be open. Then now people get jobs. People got to go to work. Now they don't have time to hang around church and be a yes man. Now you don't got to show up with 17 men around you when they got wives. They should they be the work making some money so they can take care of their family and sitting around the pastor all day and feel as that's cool when it's not. And then, because why? It gives them a false sense of being in charge. So now people got to want to be free. And if they want to be free, then the information you transpire, like today, this is a topic that the whole of the Bahamas should be tuned into.
Mm.
Because as a Christian nation, it's Christianity that is destroying the nation. It's the church that is causing all of the divorce. Because the
Oh boy.
pastor, it is the church that causes the most, the pastor. And I want to take the first to repent on behalf of us pastors and us leaders who deprive people from home through all of those things, seminars, revivals. You deprive them children of vacations and college tuitions. You divide because why? All we look for with our selfish emotions and needs is because we probably sat home with our wives. Because there's no way you could tell me you and your wife have a beautiful marriage and y'all won't be around people 7 days a week, all day and all night. So on behalf of all the pastors who greedily, you manipulatively, even awarefully or unawarefully, I want to apologize for that. Because I realize it's us who caused the divorces rate so high in the church. Because ain't no man gonna have no family and his wife in the church 7 days a week, taking all his hard-earned money to take care of another family and send another set of children to church and send them to college. Nuh-uh. We got to put, ain't no man gonna be comfortable with no woman treating the pastor better than they treat him. Uh-uh. You know, man gonna be comfortable with watching another man watch his woman or his wife or do obey another man more than she obey him. And you wonder
Wow.
why he ain't coming to church.
Wow.
Ain't no man gonna come to church when the pastor got more say in his house than him. And we wonder why the divorce rate is high.
Oh
The
boy. Oh
children,
boy. Oh boy. Oh Lord have mercy.
And Michelle,
All y'all believers are there. Pray my strength in the Lord, please. This could be a heavy show. See, Alan, let's hear from you.
well, I have to agree with him in a much degree. And so essentially what the reason why you have religiosity, if that's a word, that has taken over the Bahamas, and you have people who have replaced purpose with power. And the problem is that, and we talk about the biblical, and I like with the fact that he says, you have certain principles. And the principles that you speak of is, if you take from the Bible, the principle work. Okay? First, let me go back to where he says, study and show yourself approved. One of the root words of study is to go out of. And I often question religious belief, whether it be Christianity or otherwise, that do you believe in the Bible? And they'll ask me, well, do you? I say, yes, I believe in cover to cover, including the maps. But the principle I put is that anything that's not real, anything that's not true, cannot prove a truth. So I say to them, if the Bible is real and you believe it to be the truth, and I show you another book that substantiates the truth, then that book itself must also be true. And so this is why when you have this so-called study, so when you say study and show yourself approved, and so what has happened is that you have, in the Bahamas, we have pulpit pimps, parliamentary pirates, and poor prostitutes called the people. Okay? And that is what has happened throughout many of our black nations, is that we have convinced people that you can win the lottery without ever purchasing a ticket. We have convinced them that poverty is okay because you will have fulfillment in heaven when God himself gave man dominion of the earth. He didn't say go to earth and be subjected to it, And when you die, you will come back and be bountiful and have plenty. And so what happens is religious leaders, and I agree when you say that a title doesn't make you competent, a title doesn't make you who you are. We have a lot of people with titles that shouldn't have it, period. Because I could declare myself a doctor of whatever medicine or something else, and people will accept that definition. And because they are not in a position to challenge, and this is why a lot of pastoral people don't want educated uh, individuals in their churches, because if you accept what I say without being challenged, then I could become and pretend to be a doctor for a very long time. I can pretend to be God for a very long time, as long as no one challenges me. So this is where the whole power of the pulpit pimp comes in, that you take control of the person's life and you dictate to them in the direction they go. But so what has happened is that we have over 4,000 churches in a nation of 400,000 people. And what we have now is literally a pastor for every 100 people. You have some pastors around that only members of their churches themselves, their wife, and their children, but still they call themselves leading somewhere. Our churches have become places of hospital where people go to spiritually die. We talk about Round Memorial Hospital, we talk about the place. And so churches, even globally, has come a place where people go to to experience spiritual death. And you say, you go into the hospital. Can you imagine that the church is a hospital, and you go to the hospital and never be cured, and you just stay in the hospital? And the whole point is that anyone goes in the hospital, what's the first thing everybody's trying to do? They're trying to become more empowered. They're trying to gain strength to leave the hospital with a message that the hospital solved their problem. The problem is that the pastors in most of these countries, and this is why you have this success principle that is sold in a fantasy, has devoid individuals of their desire to work. Work doesn't necessarily mean physical. Work means the mind. It means to do something, to take something out of and create. In the same way when God says, let us create man in our image. Notice what he did. God did not make a bad copy. He spoke it into existence. I tell people all the time is when you go to work and you go to manage, if you see something, it must exist. If you see yourself in an environment of success, it must exist, because it's impossible for you to see that which don't exist, because then you would be greater than God. The problem is that we have no leadership, is a better word than pastors, because again, this goes to the parliamentary pirates. Because so we have leadership. The blind leading the blind is the best description from a biblical perspective of where most black countries are. And so, because what you have, you say you both fall into a ditch. Because it says also that leadership is based on vision. When is the last time in our country in the last 50 years that we have anyone express any true vision that has not been hijacked or usurped or copied from someone else? So it's easy to say what you want to do, which is just simply repeating what somebody else said, than to define a vision, which is a vision is the ability to experience the future in the present. And so we have not had leadership that has been able to define a country in the proper prospect of where we are in the present, come back to where we are, where we should be in the future, come back to the present and take people there. And so when the tape says, the guy says, why don't we own our banks? We have the resources. We have land. I've used this as an example. We say we have 3 million acres of crown land. I say to you, we have people like Royal Caribbean and other people that say they make $700,000 per acre on these land per month. I'm saying let's take out of the 3 million acres, 100,000 acres, and pretend that we are incompetent. Okay? I want you to pretend we can't make $700,000 a month. Let's simply say, let's go for $300,000 a year. Then take the $100,000, the $5,000 a month, sorry, or whatever, the 300,000, yeah, 5,000 a month times $100,000, and see the multiplication of what the land is worth versus selling it. You could conservatively say at $300,000 times 100,000 acres, you have $30 billion. So we're not lacking in resources. We just found out that the seagrass in the Bahamas is worth $150 billion a year. We have we say we have over 150 billion tons of aragonite produces close to 20 billion tons of aragonite per year. We have people say the crystal caves in the Bahamas. The National Geographic says they cannot put a value on it. We produce 5 billion tons of sand that used in the construction industry separately per year. We have the third largest, most valuable real estate in the ocean right now because we have the third barrier reef for all where fish are born and everything else. So the question then becomes exactly like he said: why aren't we owning our bank? Why aren't we owning our industries? Why aren't we owning any of these? It's because the pastors and the parliamentary pimps have usurped the pastors. They have bought them for trinkets, where they've given them land and influences to do whatever else. And so it comes back to
pause for me. We have a call on the line. Let's go to the caller. Caller, welcome to GPS. Caller, are you still there?
Yes, good day, Miss Malcolm.
Hi.
Yes, can I make a point?
Go ahead, we're listening.
Yes, with the gentleman said based on the men and women concerned in church, right? There's nothing new under the sun. I mean, and women, they are stepping up. Behemoth women are stepping up when it comes to the church. They are going inside the church and they're trying their best to serve God, right? The men, them, they out there in the world. The majority of our behemoth men are in the world, getting in crimes and what have you. So there are good behemoth men out there, you know what I mean, who are married and who are taken. But a lot of Christian women, they marry worldly men. So the worldly men fight against these Christian women. Oh, you don't need to go to church, or I don't need to go to church, or whatever, making excuses. And they feel like the pastor is a trick, because the pastor is trying to tell the women to stay in the church and stay faithful, or whatever the case may be. Because light and darkness can't coexist. They will always fight against each other. And a lot of these, the human Christian women, they marry a lot of ungodly men. And that's what causes friction in the home and what have you. That ain't nothing new under the sun. We as men, we need to step up. As a being man, we need to step up as men and get back to the church. Because there's nothing new. And there's only one responsibility the church should have, and that's the Great Commission. He says, go into all the world.
But I think the point, I think they'll call it the point that our guests are trying to make is that you can't be so spiritually minded that you're no earthly good. Because if you're talking about a marriage relation, and this show isn't about marriage, by the way, this is about economic empowerment and the whole deal. But if you're talking about cultivating a marriage relationship, my God, you got to spend some time together as husband and wife apart from in the church. And we do see where a lot of churches, they want you come to this meeting on Monday night, and then you got practice on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday night you got Bible study, and then Thursday night you got another set of meeting, and then Friday night, and by the time you finish, you ain't got no time.
But I mean, the Bible says
family or to cultivate your family.
Hey, Miss Malcolm, the Bible says study without season, day and night pray, right? We go on our jobs, we sacrifice on our jobs. As men, we go 24/7, we go hard on our jobs.
And that is not good either.
If a woman go to church on a Wednesday, if a woman go to church on a Tuesday, on a Sunday, if a woman have prayer meeting, whatever the case may be, she ain't in no bar, she ain't running about the place, she ain't cheating. At least, hey, if I was a man, I got a woman like that, I'd be very happy knowing that my woman is. And that's an insecure man. You understand me?
I want to say something. Can I say something? I understand his perspective. I understand it. I want to touch something. The Bible says, I'm going to go according to what he's saying, talk to the Bible. The Bible says, unto the single, you serve God better because you don't have no obligations. You don't have no responsibility. You can render unto God what is due to him. That's what the Bible says. You can render unto him. You can do the thing. God can send you Africa, Asia. You ain't got no one to answer to. You ain't got nobody to explain nothing to. But he says something very different when it comes to the married. He said, but unto the married, when you married, you got to do the things of this world to please your spouse. Now that's very interesting, huh? Why, when you single, He tells you you got to do the spiritual things for God. But when you marry, you got to do the things of the world to please the spouse. I think the biggest problem let me clarify something for you. Marriage is not a ministry. God don't get no glory out of marriage. I don't. People
Marriage is
always
the
think,
ministry. Marriage
no,
is the
no,
ministry,
hold
sir.
up, no, no,
Can
no,
I make
no, no,
a point? Can I make a
no.
point?
Listen to me. No, listen to
Before I hang
me.
up.
So hear me
Marriage
out.
is the ministry.
Marriage is not a
Marriage is the
ministry.
ministry.
No,
Hear me out. Why I
Hold
say
up.
I
marriage is the
finished my
ministry?
point. Let's
Caller,
Huh?
finish my
let him
point. I'm gonna
finish
let
his
you speak.
point, and then
Oh
you
man.
jump in.
Let me say, I feel the biggest problem we have because we are always being taught that marriage is a ministry. Eve was put here for one reason only. That's why you notice God never had a conversation with Eve. That's why even when Eve ate the fruit, nothing happened. Because he said, Adam, the Bible says, when Adam saw that he was alone, not that when he needs spiritual help, not that he needed, the Bible says when he saw every other thing had someone, a companion, he realized he had nobody to be with. And the Bible says after Adam had his house, which is the garden, after Adam was successful, remember the Bible says he must dress it and keep it. After Adam was paying his own bills, light bill, water bill, phone bill, cable bill, had money in the bank, wasn't doing, he said, it is not good for this type of man to be alone. So the first thing I gotta say on that, if your money ain't enough for two people, where you could take care, live the life you live, and take care of somebody else, then I don't even think we need to be talking about relationship and marriage. We need to be talking about getting a job, like what we're talking about, getting some more money so you can take care of family. So my perspective on that is this: is that at the end of the day, I concur with your point in regards to the suggestive statement of what men should do and men would be. But when it comes to marriage, everybody have a different perspective of they want their marriage to be. And I think the biggest problem is when we take away the rights of human beings, men and women, or any race or any color, any country, and try to tell everybody in order for your marriage to work, you have to do it like the way I do it. I might like what you like. I
No,
might
no,
like
no,
what
no.
you
Do
like.
it the way
Let
the
me finish.
Bible do it.
I
Do
want
it
to
the way
respond to
God
him when you
have
finish
you
too,
to do it.
please.
Can
Wait,
I
hold
make
on,
a
C.
point?
Allen.
I
Hold
hear
on,
you
C.
out now.
Allen.
Can you hear me out?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, caller.
Do it the way God would have you do it, not the way I would like to do it. Because everybody have opinions and feelings. Go in the Bible and go on that blueprint, right? The Bible does not lower woman, does not bring woman down. Everyone is side by side, working as partners. You understand me? Yes, man has the authority in the home, but man also goes to the woman for advice. You understand me? In all things, they work as partners, right? So
Right.
where a godly woman marry an ungodly man, there will be friction.
Okay,
There'll be
sir.
friction all the time.
No, I'm saying
All the time, whether you
you
like it or not.
you're
And
saying
then
the
that's
same.
why
No, you're
God said,
saying the
do
same
not
thing
be
different ways.
unequally
Can you
yoked.
listen to me
Hold on,
now?
C. Allen.
Do not be
Hold on, C.
unequally
Allen.
yoked.
He's
Okay?
saying the same thing.
Different ways, Michelle. He can tell you 10 different ways. I want him to listen to me now. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's say something. And the two shall become one.
Hmm.
Okay. I want you to take that, sir. And so tell me a leadership of the church that knows the word that seeks to separate the two instead of encouraging the binding and the building of the family. The two should become one as a family and they should produce of their kind. And so when a pastor sees a person that comes to church every single day, every other day, and their husband is not a part of it, he should then recognize that that there is not a holy definition. And so the mere fact that a pastor for years and years could take a person under their guidance and utilize their labor and exploit whatever it is and never once seek to fix. Remember they in the hospital, she's in the hospital. She says, I have a weakness in my relationship. So he's saying that you have a weakness in your soul, but he does not recognize the weakness that she has in the earth, that she is not at one with her husband because they would be sitting in church together. And he seeks after 5 years, a decade, have not been able to cure that he perpetrates and feeds into that, and then that boy child comes into that family, and that pastor, by virtue of that behavior, is feeding into the boy child that he is irrelevant in the relationship, that he doesn't see the wholesome family. You don't see the pastor's failure in building what God first ordained is family. So I'm saying
All
to
right.
you, I don't want to get this off track, right, Michelle? But the mere fact that individuals doesn't understand. See, they're repeating what is told to them instead of what the Bible says, the principles that he said. Don't tell me what you practice. Tell me what the principles is. Just use an example. Just again in this, Michelle. People use the principle. I hear people all the time. These people these people who make these arguments about the justification, that you sacrifice who you are, that you just dispose of what God has ordained you to do, to follow what the pastor says and pray. Remember the people in the mind say, pray unceasingly to win the lottery, but never ever buy a ticket. Here's what happens, sir. There's a principle of gravity. And just like in the Bible, right? I want you to listen to this carefully. I've known of no one, nor regardless of the height of the building, that has died from jumping off a building. No one dies from jumping off a building. It's the same way you will not get anything from praying. You die from
you get plenty from praying. So by you saying
sir, you're not listening to me. Sir,
hold on. Gentlemen. We have to take a break. But see, Alan, I totally disagree with you with regard to that point.
Because no. I want to add on before. No. I got to this. Because we subject here. I don't want to leave on that point. I think what we're trying to say, let me do this. And normally I really don't do this, but I'm going to do this first time to be responsible for someone thought. I think what we're trying to say is that prayer alone doesn't get a lot of stuff done.
Because you could pray and
because
God
the Bible says praying without works is dead.
So that's what I'm saying. You can pray all you want.
You will always need a miracle when you're not applying principle. You pause there.
Right. I don't have a problem with that. But don't say prayer doesn't do anything.
I know you're right. No, I understand. I mean, not offensive, but I understand what he meant. We all know what he meant. Let's not take away from the nature of his quality, from the validity. No, listen. Let's do it. Pause. Let's pause. Let's not take away, Doctor. Hold up, Mr. Allen. Let's not take away from the credibility of him as an individual. That's why he's on the show. All of us, I know for sure you're an educated young lady. I am. And I understand the narrative that was spoken, but because of the nature of the individual and their explanation of what they're saying, I don't think it was their intent based on when it was received. So I want to add on to what he's saying to clarify his intent, is that what he's trying to say, like the guy in the video, prayer alone, because I was kind of funny when he said that too. I felt like, okay, I understand his narrative, but he just used the wrong usage of words. Prayer alone doesn't. Even the Bible tell you, faith without works. Show me your prayer without your works and show me your results. I'm going to show you my prayer and my works and show you the result. So I understand what you say, sir. I'm not offended by it. I just wanted to add to that.
Just give me 30 seconds, Michelle. Prayer is a communication.
And that's all, because we got to go to a break.
Right. I'm simply saying prayer is a direct communication with God. I can talk to God all I want. He will not interfere in this world. And so when you communicate with God, and God says, go you and do this, and you go back tomorrow and pray for what he already gave you, and you pray, and you pray, and you pray. Prayer does nothing but provide answers or whatever, but prayer does nothing. You can say alone or whatever you want, because I can lock you in the house and build it in, and I want you to pray yourself out. Okay? It won't happen unless something else happens in this world. Prayer is direct communication with God. That's all it does. It gives you the answers to the library of all things, all knowledge. But you must act. And that's what the principle. Prayer is a principle and action is a principle.
It's a principle. You are correct, sir.
Tandem. So pray what you want. Like I said, pray for the ticket and do never buy a ticket. Pray for the lottery winning and never buy a ticket. Isn't that prayer? But you pray? You pray. Go see what you buy the ticket.
Great, but the Bible does talk about praying amiss. But you know what? We go in a completely different direction than I wanted to go into this show, because this show isn't just about marriage. It isn't just about prayer.
Economic development.
Exactly. Ownership and the fact that you have to work.
Yes, ma'am.
And to that degree, what you're saying, I understand.
Tell you what I'm gonna do on the next episode. I see my learned friend here, Mr. Johnson. I enjoy his conversational pieces. You are well versed in religious knowledge. So, being one I see well studied, I will take the political perspective of it when we get back. I think the and then give him the chase because he's doing such a good job. I was keeping them in check, the callers in check. So I'm gonna go into political study. Wouldn't call me the bad guy today. So you can handle the church folks.
We gotta take a break. We got 20 minutes past our break time. We gotta take a break. So let's go to this break. When we come back, we're going to go to a second clip from that video because again, this show is broader than the conversation that we're having right now. And I don't want to lose focus on the intent of this show today. And maybe one show isn't going to be enough, but let's see how it goes. So we're going to take this break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about prayer, poverty, productivity, and power. We'll be back after our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
All right, welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, along with my guests, Dr. Patrick Miller and C. Alan Johnson. The numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line is 8010271, 8010271, and that is the line to call or text. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Please like and share the show if you haven't already done so. We're also streaming live to YouTube on our official channels. We're coming to you on Cable Bahamas, channel 974, and you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. Last but not least, you can check us out via radio, 99.5 FM on your dial here in New Providence. And of course, a huge welcome to our audience coming to you all the way from Grand Bahama. Welcome to the show. We're calling the show today Prayer, Poverty, Productivity, and Power. And this show is inspired by a video that I came across this morning of a gentleman from Africa who is taking issue with the fact that there are some nations in the world that create so many more millionaires among their general population than do other nations like those in Africa and some of us here in the Caribbean and elsewhere. And the question is, what are they doing in those nations where so many millionaires are being created amongst their people that we don't seem to be able to understand or grasp on this side of the world, or in the Caribbean, or in Africa? So let's go to the second clip from that gentleman, and then we're going to get our guests back into the conversation. Jason, play the second clip for me, please.
Find out what kind of raw materials have they built their industries on. Are these locally produced? Find out again, are these locally produced goods? We must not be afraid of teaching our children how to make money. And I think if we can go back and do a thorough research on these economies, we can be able to come up with a curriculum of study which our children can get into to be able to reach these same heights of excellence. There's no excuse, Africa. We have the schools.
Hello, caller, you there?
Hey, good day, Lady Malcolm.
Hi.
Again, good day to your guest.
Good day, sir.
All right, good. I just was picking up from the last episode on, try to hold on from before you come to this segment here, so I will just make a little small contribution to the last segment. I heard it's very interesting to listen to people argue about the Bible and church. Very interesting. You be in all kind of different directions, but I respectfully disagree with both your guests and the caller in terms of going to church, because if I remember correctly, if you believe in the Christian belief, then you would remember that there was only one church when the Christ walked the earth. That was the Roman Catholic Church. And Jesus told Peter,
No, the Roman Catholic Church came years after Jesus. There is one church, and there's still only one church.
Exactly. Well, okay, fine. But Jesus told Peter Petros, when I come back, I will build my foundation, my church, upon this rock which he meant for himself. And he ain't come back yet. So all these other denominations and churches.
I'm saying, can we talk? Because he says, I'll build my church.
Wait, hold on. No,
I'm just true. Okay, go ahead. I'll correct you when you finish.
Long-winded. You wait till I finish. Jesus told Peter, Petros, small rock, Petra, or whatever, I can build my church when I come back. He ain't reached back yet. So that church would be going on, but then I want churches to say all them is a bunch of gangsters. Because if you see your woman going to church, Because according to the scripture, it said, where 2 or 3 you will gather it by name, I am there. Which means you ain't need no four-wall, and you ain't really need no pastor. So to me, all of them is a bunch of pimps in the pulpit. If you see a woman going to church like the call us every night, you ain't got no problem with that. You better keep your eye on the pastor. Thanks for taking my God.
Just 1 second. Dr. Miller is the one who said that that's the problem. It wasn't a call-up. Just let me say this. He asked Peter a question, and Peter revealed a truth. And he says, upon this truth, I will build my church. Okay? That's no physical rock. No anything of that stuff. And so this is the problem where, and this is where the contamination of information often confused for knowledge. Knowledge, the information when understood becomes knowledge. And the Bible then said, seek ye after wisdom. Wisdom is the proper application of knowledge. But you can't apply knowledge if you can't even comprehend the information. And this is what has not been taught in the church, because if you, like Dr. Miller says, if they teach you the truth, you won't be dependent upon them. You will actually be dependent upon the source. And so this is where the contamination come in, where the pastor should be a conduit, not a master, not a dictator. And when you're going back to the subject we're on, when he spoke in that video concerning prayer, he's talking about the contamination of leadership, because that's what church is, leadership. This is what we have politically, leadership. How is it that leadership that we have not looked to what others have done, information, comprehended to have knowledge, and show wisdom in its application? That's where the problem is. And so what we have is so much individuals that has begun to emulate, whether it's be in the political arena, because there's no difference between the parliamentary pirates and the political pimps. There's no real difference. The difference is in the title. This is why they move so easily between the two camps. This is why they correlate in the nighttime so well together, because neither of them are serving their purpose.
Okay, let's hear from Dr. Miller.
Okay, thank you so much. Good point. I want to talk about, I'm going to come from a political standpoint of it. When we look at Africa, and I always want people to realize this, people can only take you as far as they've been. When you think about that, people can only take you as far as they've been. If somebody only been, the farthest they ever been is Eleuthera, from Nassau to Eleuthera, where else they going to take you? Where else they going to, what information they going to give to you? When a mind convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So Jesus talk about this, casting your pearls among swine. It is advantageous to be running on with someone about information that you conspire, you contracted through studies, research, and a proven one that has been well taught in the information you know. And if you talk about somebody who just just on the street, then you'll be casting your pearl among swine. So at the topic at hand, I wouldn't even address that, because I really want some good knowledge to get out to the people on a good topic. And it's with Africa, when you follow economics, and there's one that is in corporate America and that keep current of what's tried to. One of the things you have to understand when it comes to a place like Africa, I saw a clip one time ago when an African stopped someone that was from Saudi Arabia. And he asked them, why is the government of Saudi Arabia so successful, even though they're a smaller nation? And the guy responded in a very, very interesting way. He said that when you look at Africa, and this is the reality, Africa produces 10% of the world's oil that generates around the world. And then one of the things that they always was getting critiqued for, because they started in their raw form, and then they bring it back, buy it back. Then you look at it, it produced the natural resources, such as diamond, gold, and other precious stones. But yet, the number one country, when it's one of the number one countries in poverty, then the language isn't the people. Then the question got to go to the government, because they're the ones who are the gatekeepers for the people who allow the access to their natural resources that will benefit a country if governed right. And one of the things we have to understand is that when you're in a country like the Bahamas, when it's natural resources, it's almost second to none. And people have to understand what natural resources mean, why it makes it so valuable. It's what the land produces on its own, without cultivation, without help. That's what you mean by the natural resources. It just grows. And when you have people in government, because we got to go there, the gatekeepers, when you have people in government, and who I believe we got to stop putting people in position because they inspired. Most new politicians that come into power, they have nothing to prove what they have done before. They never run a country before, barely run a household. You know. That's why you always see them have the institution when it comes to the president. You never see a single man as the president. They always do the family, the first lady, the image of what the wife's supposed to be, all that kind of stuff. It's because for a reason. So when you have people that you're putting into power because you like them, Jethro told Moses, you killing yourself. Look for people. What did he say? The qualification. He said, look among yourself. Look for people who are doing things with the responsibility, who the people trust, who have a voice in the community, and who has been proven to handle the business of that area that you asking to put them in, and then make a sound judgment. We come every 5 years, and every 5 years, you see one bunch of new faces, people you even didn't know about, where they pop up from. You even didn't know they was living in the Bahamas. Out of nowhere, and because your Grammy party, your mother party, or the party of your house say, this is who we're going to use, you go to the polls, and you put them in, and now you're wondering why your country go left, because you put a boy in the seat of a king. So
right.
now you have to address the government.
Let's see if we can get the second clip to play. Jason, go ahead and play the second
clip.
Oh,
also on the second clip, I want Jason to understand, because I know he keeps stopping and playing it. I don't know if it's the app that he's using or the program he's using, but on the end of your viewers, we can see it, even if you can't, just to let you know.
Okay. Jason, go ahead. Play the second clip.
Find out what kind of raw materials have they built their industries on. Are these locally produced? Find out again, are these locally produced goods? Are these locally produced raw materials? Where are they getting their raw materials from? And at what cost are those raw materials? And when you have answered that, find out again, are these countries democratic? They have the top 20 that are making the most millionaires. Are these countries democratic? When last did you hear of elections in Sweden? When last did you hear of elections in Switzerland? When last did you hear of elections in Hong Kong? When last did you hear of elections in Singapore? When last did you hear of elections in Denmark? While we as Africans are busy getting confused about these elections, 5 years, find out from these countries, are they democratic? And after answering the democracy question, find out if they conduct elections. And when last did they have elections, including Britain? When last did you hear of elections in Britain? And having answered that, you also want to find out not only about elections, but ask these countries again, how many political parties do they have? These countries that have the most millionaires, how many political parties do they have? How many political parties do they have? You will find that in Zimbabwe alone, when we're heading for elections here, 150 political parties, with every one of them wanting to be a president. So we want to find out what politics, what kind of politics are these countries playing with, so that maybe we can learn a lesson or two also of how to adjust our political system to produce these millionaires that we are hearing and we are reading about here. Are these countries democratic? Do they run elections? How many political parties do they have? And not only that, you also want to find out what culture do these people adhere to that are making the most millionaires? What kind of culture are they built upon? Are they supporting? What kind of ethics and moral ethics What are they function? What's their science? What is the science of their success in terms of their spirituality? And you also want to find out how they've been able to manipulate their economies to create these millionaires. And what must our students in Africa learn after studying what other countries are doing to create millionaires?
That was a mouthful.
Yes.
Let's hear from you. How do you break down what was just shared in that video?
Well, Michelle, let's use. He made some important points. You know, we seem to have adopted a system of democracy that again we've married to this parliamentary process that we use. You know, and I hear people oftentimes say the parliamentary system, this parliamentary system doesn't work for us. And the question is this the same system that they controlled us, oppressed us with? Why do you think it would work for us? The system is working the way that it's meant to work. The problem is that we've never came up with a system that belongs to us. But Sweden, I think, is one of the places it's either Sweden or Switzerland. They have a president every single year, 7 years for the election. Every single year, the presidents change. They share responsibility that no one single man, no one single person dominates their process. Begin to look at the places we like to say, Singapore, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Sweden, and all these other places that we like to use. And he's absolutely correct. The systems they use is not based on personalities, it's not based on persons. It's based on people. It's based on having a unified national vision, something that we don't have. And so we always look to others. We've spent billions of dollars on educating our Bahamian people. But every time you hear the government speak, it says we will seek the foreign advice from the very people who have less experience. Some of the people that come here to the Bahamas have less experience than the people who we have sent off to school. They went to school after that. We have leadership that has no understanding of the environment we live in. This is why, to date, we have government celebrating a gateway system for putting in a shortcut to various different ministries as a success in the 21st century, and we can't provide paperless documents 22 years into the 21st century and celebrating that you can get a document or you can make an application when the rest of the world has left that 25 years ago, because we are so concerned with our leadership who spend 60 or 70% of their time in Parliament looking back and simply saying, listen to the argument we have amongst ourselves and our people. I am not as incompetent as you. I am not as corrupt as you. I am not as capable. I am not as incapable as you. I'm not as inept as you. Do you know when if Dr. Miller and I have an argument saying I'm not as incompetent as you, I'm saying we are both incompetent. I'm not as inept as you. We are both inept. And so I say when politicians, the only time I says, one time you want to believe a politician is telling the truth, when they say the other person is a liar.
Dr. Miller, let's hear from you.
All right. Very interesting. Enjoy you. Mr. Johnson. I want to say this. It's from a kingdom perspective. The Bible said something that I've given you keys to the kingdom. Everybody know that keys is access. It's divine access.
Right.
The kingdoms, and we have to define what he means as the kingdoms. He says kingdoms are defined as the financial sector is the kingdom. The health sector is the kingdom. These are various kingdoms that are operating in government that decides the paradigms of the world. So when you have people in these kingdoms, and it's just like the Bible says, when the righteous is ruling in this kingdom, then you have a joyous thing. The Bible says, but when the wicked rule, then the people mourn, because that's the nature of evil. One of the things we have to look as a country, when we look at ourselves as a country, as a Bahamian people, one of the things that was institutionalized from the late Sir Lyndon Pinland, even in independence, even from the time of independence, I think that people got to understand what independence means. Independence means that you're your own sovereignty country. Independence is more in a nutshell saying, telling your mommy and your daddy, we can handle our own business now. We don't need y'all to do for us, think for us. We can handle our own thing. And obviously, when you look at years later, if we are now still the dollar power that we're in, that means something, in spite of all the disagreements, something was being done right. I think the challenge comes in is that we need to now find governments and prime ministers who are more seeking the embetterment, watch this, the embetterment and the development and the success of its people rather than trying to seek foreign relationships and good faith. Because at the end of the day, one of the things people don't understand, he that owned the land makes the laws. That's why I call the landlord. The person who will own the land get to make the laws and the rules. And when you have a country that sells the land out, which was never the nature, because if we will remember, under the PLP years of Celine Pittman, a foreign investor only had land for 99 years,
Yeah.
no matter what you was building. It was a purpose for that. Because after 99 years, you should already make back all your money. And then the land goes back to the country,
Right.
to the people. But now when you have a government that sells the right, sells out of a land, then you have the more land you sell, the more power the foreigner will have in your country because he owned the land, is their property. So now, one of the reasons why you find this is because the lack of knowledge. My people perish because of the lack of knowledge, information. So rather than going in parliament and trying to throw the mace out the window, I think what they did with the Bahamas government don't mock and mimic from other countries is that when they get in the Senate and they get in those houses, the rules and regulations are made for the people. They get in there and argue rules and pass bills and laws and legislation that empowers its people. The educational system is designed to educate their people on how to continue to run their country. Systems are put in place, infrastructures, ties as institutions to help empower training institution, technical institution, learning institution to help fortify this by educating, providing education for all to help so that the rightful people from that country will be able to operate in the positions that they will be able to run their country well. And when you look at these foreign countries, tell me one time you see America. Tell me one time you see America goes into a country for social development or it goes in the country to push foreign policies. You'll never see that.
I mean, the bottom line is America may say they're going in to help a country, but that is contingent on what America getting out the deal.
Not even that. Look at what they help.
They don't say help, they say stabilize.
Stabilize.
Yeah,
What this? Look at what they stabilize.
Whatever terminology you want to use. Whatever terminology you want to use. Bottom
But
line
look at what they stabilize, though. They stabilize gay rights movement. They stabilize
for access.
They stabilize. Like, for example, if you look in the papers today, as much as they say there's no jobs, if you look in the papers, you got 4 or 5 pages of wanted ads. You got as much as they say there's no job in the community, in the country, if you open the newspaper right now, any one of your daily news, when you look at the want ads, I promise you, you're going to see 5, 6, 7 pages of jobs. But you know the problem is? There is no qualifications for the positions that are needed.
And for those positions that are lower positions, what we have is 50,000 work permit holders.
No, think about it. Think about it. The positions that are needed. How many Bahamians could say, okay, I could grab this opportunity because I'm educated, I got the knowledge and the experience to get it? No, because that is not the focus. And if anything is going to change, you got to listen when you elect a politician what is your plan of action? Like the other day, and I gotta say it's on point, and I'm gonna close on this point here for next one. If you remember the last election per se, how many politicians right now that are in power had controversy about the plan that they copy and paste off the internet and was presented to people? You remember that? I remember that. You remember that, Ms. Malcolm? I can remember that very clear. People were getting in trouble because the politicians that they put to pick to run the country copy and paste a plan of action off the internet, and that's who you want to run. Interest to represent your communities, represent. He can't even sit down and write a plan of action, and you want to write a vision for your constituency.
And Michelle, let me say, and this is why I tell people all the time. Let's talk about it because we talk about the current government. The current government has one of the most digital blueprint I've seen or manifesto I've seen in my 20 years of being home. Yet they have not done a single thing that's digital to make it possible, to make it happen. And so we keep getting these documents, like you say, copy and paste. It's 2 words for it, Since you're using the word P, right? Let's say pirated and pirated. They pirate it from someplace else and they pirate it, repeat it. They have no understanding exactly what it is. So the problem, and this is what we have. We have copy and paste leadership that have no understanding of how to do it. Could you imagine that? So essentially we take what is called good talk. And so now this guy has told you that he's a surgeon and he's everything else and it's now time to operate. He doesn't know what to do. So what we have to do is we have to have leadership that we can test, that they understand, not just saying what to be done, what can be done. Because we love people, they tell you, oh, it's possible to win the lottery. It's possible to have this beautiful country. Then you say again, what is it exactly we have to do? And how are we to do it? And if we begin to test them on the hows before they elected, you will find out that they don't have the required competence to achieve that which it is. Because I'm not testing you on the doing it. I am testing you on the how before I hire you to execute it.
Experience is the word we look for here. And I agree with you.
So what happens though, but if he knows how to execute, go look at the point. You ever wonder why is it that a person could be a Fortune 500 of a technology company, then move to a store, and you keep seeing all of these, there are 8 billion people in the world, the same small group of say 1,000 CEOs keep moving from companies to companies, and you say, wait a minute, but he was in technology today, now he's in eggs, next week he's in Walmart. They're not hiring him for his expertise in sales. They're hiring him for his expertise in leadership to get the right persons together to execute a vision that's been pronounced to them. The problem is that we have been choosing the most popular of the gangs from amongst ourselves as opposed to the most competent. And exactly like he said, the resources. Michelle, like you say, natural resources. We don't need to do anything for the largest oil reserve in the world that supposedly exists in the Bahamas. We don't need to do anything for the largest aragonite reserve in the world. We don't need to do anything for the largest amount of blue holes. We don't have to do anything for the third largest fishing birthplace in the world. We don't have to do anything for the airspace amongst us. We don't have to do anything for the sea traffic lanes that 80% of the traffic go through. We don't have to do anything for, just go down the list of things. When you talk about the amber, when we talk about the mud, when we talk about all of these different things, the problem is we have never had the opportunity of leadership that understand the exploitation for the benefit of the people. And so again, you don't have to hear people all the time say, oh, well, what behemoths do know, what do behemoths do know about mining? I don't know anything but pulling teeth either. But if I need one, I'll go hire me a dentist.
We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS. Caller, you're on the air. Caller, are you there?
Good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Ms. Malcolm, I am listening to the conversation that you're having, especially at this particular time as it leads to leadership as it leads to our nation, and you have C. Allen Johnson on, and I think who was one of the great minds of this nation, not being used for whatever reason. I have no idea, but I want to use a quote from the great Dr. Miles Monroe when he said that when you have a nation who most of its people who are in leadership are versed in history, that is going to be hard for them to really see forward as far as vision. I think what we've been trying to do, or what we've been expecting from the people that we send to Parliament, I think we've been expecting them to be leaders. But I think instead of being leaders, we have more of persons in positions of who are only well versed in managing. And I think the only way you can change a nation, or people who change the world, are people who are trailblazers, willing to take risks, willing to go against the grain, willing to make decisions that may be hard, but looking out for the betterment of a people, and having the vision to say, we need to get these things done. All of the natural resources we have, all of the things that we have in this nation, I think the persons who we say are leaders, but they're only managers, they only see this nation as a service center. That we are people who service stuff. We don't take the lead and say, we're gonna take the salt mines, we're going to take the natural resources, we're gonna take the aragonite, and we're gonna turn this nation into a nation where the world are gonna look at us and say, we need to go to them to purchase. But I think the persons who we have in position are more people who are more service oriented. I think the fear of standing out and breaking out of the norm, they don't have it within them. I think it's more easier for them to just run the mom and pop nation rather than to step out and to become world leaders. That's my view on it.
All right, thank you so much for calling.
Beautiful.
Okay, we have to take a break. On the other side of the break, we're going to continue this conversation about prayer, poverty, productivity, and power. My guests today are Dr. Patrick Miller and C. Allen Johnson. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay with us.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with Mailboat's U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
Global Radio 99.5.
And welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here, along with C. Alan Johnson and Dr. Patrick Miller. We are talking about prayer, poverty, productivity, and power. That's the topic of our show today. And here's how you can become a part of the conversation. The telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 8010271, 8010271. We're streaming live on Facebook, on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Also coming to you live on YouTube and on Cable Bahamas Channel 974. Of course, we're on radio, Global 99.5 FM on the dial here in New Providence. Also, a huge welcome to our audience out of Grand Bahama. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon routine. Okay, I want to go to the final clip of the day. And Jason, I'm going to need you to play that, please. Again, this is taken from a video that pretty much inspired me to go in this direction with this show today. So play the clip for me that says reimagine education, please.
We must not be afraid of teaching our children how to make money. And I think if we can go back and do a thorough research on these economies, we can be able to come up with a curriculum of study which our children can get into to be able to reach these same heights of excellence. There's no excuse, Africa. We have the schools, but we don't have the education. We have the teachers, but we don't have the knowledge. We have the raw materials, but we don't have the technology. We have the politics, but we don't have the economics. We have the people, but we don't have the brains. And what we don't have seems to outweigh what we have. Africa is not poor. It's the people who are poor. Continent is rich But the people on the continent are poor. And they are poor not because of what is underneath their ground. They are poor because of what is between their ears and what is between the ears of their own leaders. Therefore, we go to study such information so that we can come to ourselves, call the Department of Education, and say, transform this bush Bantu education, translate it into this which can develop children for the future. We need to go back to our economic books and burn the MP3 squared, what, stupid little formulas of the Western world and come around and say, how do we write our own economic books that speaks to our resources and transform our society?
See, Alan is laughing.
No, because he's repeating what I've been saying for 2 decades. We are so busy trying to get to somebody else's table rather than building our own and having them come to ours. We have what they want. We have what they need. Other than that, they wouldn't be trying to influence us, been trying to influence our politics, trying to influence our environment for their benefit. It's when we begin to recognize our value, it's then we can make demand of it. And so we are, understand this, where we are from the shipping lanes, we have 80% or more of all the trade that goes through the United East Coast must transition through the Bahamas exclusive economic zones, yet we do not benefit. The World Trade Organization says $3 trillion of commerce happens within the boundaries of the Bahamas per year, even though we look at our GDP of 16 billion. $3 trillion a year of commerce occurs in the Bahamas. That's not a made-up number. That's the World Trade Organization. We have cruise ships that transfer through the Bahamas and register in our country. And yet we are begging them to have passengers where you say we celebrate 6,000 people coming on a boat, but 1,000 people getting off. But the mere fact is that if they don't stop in the Bahamas, they must pay a tax of 50% of their revenue to the U.S. government, but we get trinkets. We get to sell them trinkets. When we begin to look, I could go through a host of different things that happens here. But the problem is that we don't have leadership that can tell you what our value propositions is. We have people who are seeking to be leadership, oftentimes screaming about the natural resources, but none of them can name 10 of the natural resources of the over 150, or tell you what those 10 natural resources, how they occur, how they replenish themselves, or what they could be used for. You will hear them say, we're going to sell it. They can't tell you how they will plug into a global marketplace that is controlled by multi-billion-dollar organizations who basically have their own economic armies whose job is to control and suppress various different country economies, as if they're going to wake up in the morning and go out there and tell individuals that this is how you're going to buy from us. Let me just use one example. Jamaica had one of the purest source of bauxite in the world. And when Jamaica there's a group of people in Jamaica, I don't remember exactly which political party it was. They used to wear these black dashikis and everything, and they said they could do all these different things. One day, they were shut out of the world economics. The other party came in. Do you know when they came back for re-election, it was all wearing suits again? All changed their mind. Because what the people said when they said, you say you want what for your bauxite? They went to Ghana or some other place where the quality was 40%. And they said, then eat your stuff until the economy buckle. And then we'll come back to you and buy it on the fractions of a dollar. So the problem is we are now in a global economic environment. You must understand the game of economic chess that you must play. This is not no make-believe fantasy of how things works or how the world works. And so when you see our leadership that has problems paving roads, going to talk to you about how they're going to go into the global marketplace where sand, aragonite, and the things that are used to pave roads around the world is used, but they can't pave or patch potholes. And so when you just look at their performances, and so what happens though is that because it's not the leadership, the leadership comes from us. It is because we have not educated and informed ourselves. And we have adopted an anti-intellectualized society. That's why we don't have, a lot of people say, oh, they don't come home because they don't have opportunities. The opportunities are not there because when they come home, you're trying to say they're trying to be superior over you, as opposed to recognizing what you sent them off for, what you paid for, was they were bringing back the knowledge. And so what we have is a fiefdom that has been established in the Bahamas, where a select group of families have convinced you that they are kings and queens. You choose us because I am from the political family, what my father did, what my grandfather did, and what everyone else did, and we have bought into that narrative. And believe it or not, it goes back to religion, because what we have is we have the puppet pimp who benefits from this fiefdom, who then narrates to the people in the church on this is what we do and this is how we do. If our leadership begin to recognize, and we have leadership who must subject themselves to these economic powers, as opposed to, you can imagine a church with more than 6,000 leaders, 6,000 voters, meaning that you choose a member of parliament who must answer to them. They on their hands and knees at the member of parliament, asking for something when they have the power already. And
let's hear from Dr. Miller. Dr. Miller, what are your thoughts?
Okay, very interesting. I want to say something, and I do concur with the points that Leonard Tom was making. One of the things I must say is this: there is a difference between rich and wealthy.
Absolutely.
I think we shout being rich, but we don't understand the terminology wealthy. For example, Shaquille O'Neal is rich, but the guy that pays Shaquille O'Neal his check, they are wealthy.
Exactly.
And when the Bible speaks about, when God speaks about inheritance, he don't talk about rich, he talk about wealth. The challenge comes in is this: the world has, in such a unique, crafty way, changed the narratives of what we call education, the goal of education. One of the things that we look at today, very rare you hear somebody go into school say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, or very rare you hear a child say, I want to be an engineer. Everybody's saying now either they want to play basketball, football, either they want to do some kind. You just have to be good at something. You don't have to be educated. Just be good at something.
Politicians, like that's a career.
So they look at politics not as a position of service, in service, and accountability. They look at politics as a career to get rich.
This is true.
So when you trying to get rich, then bribes are inevitable. Backdoors are inevitable. But when you are trying to become wealthy, then you create systems. You create environments that cultivate and administer to the wealth. Look at China. When children go to schools in China, they give them a laptop. They give them a laptop. Look at it. Now, the first thing you're going to get is a laptop. You get a laptop and you stay current with technology. Then after you get a laptop, they put you in the various places. Your parents don't decide. The government decide the educational format that you're going to learn. And then on top of that, you have to spend at least a year, I think it's 2 years or 3 years in the army, in the military, before you, it's mandatory. This is because it's something that is called experience. The problem comes so you can have a resume. The problem comes in the country of the Bahamas. I speak in the Bahamas. We allow politicians and the government to make us feel intimidated when we ask for resumes. What is your resume? What qualifies you? Not who refer you. I don't want to know. I don't want to go on who refer you. We stop going about because this person refer you and that person refer you, that qualify you. No, I want to see your resume. Second of all, when you ask for your resume, it's because it's a proven record to show that you are more than qualified to execute the job that the people are selecting you to do. Now, watch this. If you have somebody, John Doe, who is inspired to be in politics, so he says, just like my friends say, the Bible says, what is knowledge? Knowledge. The Bible talks about knowledge, information. And because he's inspired, everybody like him. They elect him because they like him. Now he is the person that's gonna represent you, but he has no education. His highest educational standpoint is grade 7. He never educate himself or try to use anything to enhance his knowledge. Or they just put him there because they like him. Now you're getting the results of someone that you like, not that someone who was qualified. Now, the accountability ain't on the individual himself. They put the accountability on the reference. You tell us, put him there. You understand what I'm saying? So now you have the blind leading the blind. And this is because our greatest influencer in our life and our greatest voice, the person who tells us how to accomplish life is our mother. And our mother ain't never did nothing. The person who trying to tell us what we should do is our daddy. And our daddy, the most he ever had was probably a job over there. That's who we listening to, who advising us. That's who our college come from. It's like water boy. Mama say, mama say, mama say. And so now it ain't based on qualification. It ain't based on experience. It ain't based on wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It's based on something that my learned friend said earlier in his statement. It's based on your grandfather, your great-granddaddy, and what they say. I don't want to hear what you did 25 years ago. When I was in the timeshare industry, we used to say, you're only as good as your last performance.
Right.
I need to know what you're doing now. I don't hear what y'all used to do. Obviously, it ain't enough because we failing. So something needs to be done better. Let me know what you're doing now. I don't care who your mama is. I can care less who your daddy is. I don't even know that nigga. What you doing now? What qualifies you?
Right. But you know, Michelle, too, is we don't even know the system we're in. We take a guy that has no capability. This is where the important thing is vision. Where he said, even these guys that found these companies, hire CEOs or whatever to build their companies, they have the vision. But understand this. We have a parliamentary democracy where the minister only responsibility is, I want you to listen to me carefully, legislation, policy, procedures, and process. We now having them run ministries. And we pay, do you know, a PS get paid 3 times what an MP gets paid, and more than and get paid equal to or more than a minister. I talk about what he's paid to on the books because they run the ministries. Right. But when we ask about the road works, when have you had a PS come and explain to us what is happening with the road works? When have you had the PS for immigration come to explain to us the systems, why it's broken, why they've been there for so long, and the system is broken? So you now have an MP on the day he's appointed. He believes that he's anointed. And then from that point, he's now telling you, okay, he's been a lawyer for all of his life. Now he's telling you the intricacies of public policy, the intricacies of how do you do roadworks. Mind you, the contractor can't even do it. But he's telling you, well, because of the rain and the underlayment and what is happening and we're doing this and whatever else. But here you have roads that his grandfather paved that last 40 years. And his own can't last one. Yeah. But you have him. And so we're not holding who should be held responsible. We pay $38 million a year, supposedly, per month. $38 million. Put it around $35 million a month for the intellectual capital called the civil service. Who is responsible? After the 5 years, celebrities leave. Do you notice that the same civil service are there for 20 years? And the only person changes the 5 year celebrities is because they have done a wonderful job of hiding behind the incompetence, ineptitude, and inabilities of the public face celebrities that we put there. We must now begin to hold, we need to stop asking ministers as to what went wrong and say, sit small, give me your policy. You write down your legislation, write down your policy, write down your processes, and write down your programs. I dare you to go find the 39 of them right now today and ask them to present any of those to you, and they will be lost. Not a single one of them can write you a policy. We have no written policy anywhere in the Bahamas. We don't, I want to use the word, I can use the word make stuff up. You know what the S stands for? We just, every morning we get up and make stuff up as to what we're going to do or how we're going to do it. Okay? And so, and the problem is that if something was to happen to that minister tonight, right, or like they have an accident, are we supposed to then what? Look to somebody else to make stuff up for in the morning when we have where's your policy written down that we can follow? Where's your processes? Where's your procedures? Where's your programs? And we pay for the legislation to be prepared. So where's your vision for which these legislation going to drive it? And so what we have these people is we have people pretending. These people remind me of when my daughters play dollhouse, you know. They pretend I just eat the food, even though it ain't real, and everything else. And so essentially, they are just pretending, and we have been pretending to actually govern. So this is why when world leaders, you understand this, when the president goes, right, look at his secretaries. We have a prime minister who could create secretaries. You know, he doesn't have to create ministers. He could have a secretary of energy. He could have a secretary of anything. That's the beauty of the parliamentary system, and advise him. When the president and other these leaders of these other worlds speak, they are not all knowing like our ministers. No, all knowing on every single thing. In the Bahamas, the only way you can appoint a guy acting prime minister, and he has all the history of reservoir of all prime ministers before and future in him. And so this is where we are failing because we have been given something we never understood, and we're pretending as if we do, and we're governing it. But there's individuals that we have spent money on. There are people amongst us that understand. I only need to sit in the Ministry of Technology and express a vision, and like pulling my teeth. Or if I need a ventricular science, it was a ventricular operation. You can imagine me saying, today I am my own heart surgeon rather than seeking out doing science. And so this is where the problem is. We need leadership that understands. And let me say this, the pastors of all the people should know this. Because I don't see the pastors playing the organ. I don't see him collecting the money. I don't see him walking in the floor. I don't see him paying the billing. He understands what the delegation is. The problem is, can we bring that back into its proper context of what leadership's supposed to do, ask for person instead of personal benefit? And if we actually restore the ancient landmarks of leadership, we could become a great nation.
I want to put a footnote on that before I finish. I know time is preceding us. Listen, one of the things I must say, we have to stop the blaming game. We have to stop the blaming game. If we stop blaming this one, and we recognize that the problem affects all of us. It affects your children, your children's children. And as much as we want to acknowledge certain things, the problem is people always tell me why. People ask me, all the places in America to live and all the countries you live in, why you choose the South? I said, because of one reason only, the South, although 52 states, is the only state in America that has an identity. You know what a Southern food, collard greens and rice. That's the only place that have an identity. And I think the Bahamas has looked so much to foreigners that we've forgotten our identity.
Oh, wow.
We forgot who we are as a Bahamian people.
Chosen and peculiar people.
We forget. You know what prides me on? And people don't really, I know we have time, I'll probably be on it to talk about it. But I pride myself on when I travel to countries, like I'm going to Africa in a couple of weeks, I'm going to Pakistan, and I pride myself, and I said, you know what? It makes me feel proud to know that as a black man, you could raise up a currency with a black face and it stand neck to neck with any white dollar in the world. That's something to be proud about. And when you understand that, then you understand why you become a target for vultures. America is in debt up to their eyeballs. The next 70 generation ain't gonna get us the $1 trillion of debt that America is, because they don't pay debt. All they do is print money because of the power of their dollar. And when the dollar falls, they need countries to stay relevant. This is what people see. So when the Bahamas don't see the value in themselves, people gonna tell you your value. If you wasn't valuable, then why everybody fighting to have you? Why everybody fighting to control you? Because there's something there they see, you don't see yourself.
Exactly.
So what we need to do now, we can't change the past. We got 5 more minutes. I gotta take a minute to say this. I say 6. We can't change the past, but we could work in the present and we could change the future. So the first thing we got to do is, first of all, stop the blaming game. Second of all, recognize and confess we have a major problem. Third of all, start from where we are. Let's start from where we are right now to change it, and change it realistically. It ain't about who you like, nepotism, favoritism. It's about qualification. And once they are proven to be qualified, then I think we can make sounder decision on choosing who will be the voice for my children, your grandchildren, our grandchildren, and who's going to represent us and speak for us. Because I promise you, Michelle, if I was living in some of them constituency where them MPs representing them people, they couldn't represent me.
My God. We have to take a break. Let's take this break.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Blood sugar levels play a key role in your appetite, weight gain, and overall health. When you have a blood sugar spike, you can feel confused, dizzy, and even have increased cravings. Eating carbohydrates, sugary or fatty foods, and not exercising can all cause blood sugar spikes. But now you have help in managing blood sugar levels. Sweeties by Youngevity was designed to help support healthy blood sugar levels, so you can power through your day. It's a synergistic blend of minerals, herbs, and nutrients that have been proven to support healthy blood sugar levels. Sweeties includes chromium, an essential trace mineral that's known for its contribution to healthy blood sugar levels and improved metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Cinnamon bark has been included for its naturally occurring antioxidants and support of a healthy heart. And we've even added gymnema. It's been used in Ayurveda for centuries to help promote healthy blood sugar. All the ingredients in Sweeties work together to give the best support available for blood sugar control. Sweeties, the blood sugar support supplement from Youngevity that helps control cravings and manage blood sugar levels through your day. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rim, fence, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blasted loud.
As you age, factors like health, weight, diet, and lifestyle can all impact your bones, joints, and general mobility. Even everyday exercise can lead to wear and tear on your body. Over time, you might start to experience stiffness or pain due to damaged joints or connective tissue. Ultimate Glucogel by Youngevity was created to help you limit the effects of wear on your joints. It delivers a daily dose of collagen-rich gelatin your body needs for joint elasticity and maintenance. Ultimate Glucogel contains a 1-to-1 ratio of gelatin and glucosamine sulfate, which is a key building block of your bone matrix, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue. Gelatin's unique blend of amino acids not only help with muscle and joint health, but also has been shown to provide additional benefits for the brain, skin, and hair. Ultimate Glucogel. Natural, optimal daily support for joint health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Michelle, my 10 seconds.
Gentlemen, I want to say thank you all very much for being here. Get out of here. No. It's 4 o'clock. I unfortunately I can't give you that 10 seconds, Alan, because we got to get off the air. So save that thought for the next show. Maybe we need to do a part 2 or something. But thank you, C. Allen. Thank you, Dr. Patrick Miller, for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
you so much. All right, 4 o'clock. Got to get out of here. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Tomorrow's TGIF Open Line Show. Hope to see you there. Until then, take care, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those